What's going on YouTube? It's Tej back again with another video, and today I'm giving you my picks for week 5 of the NFL season back on NFLPickWatch.com. Awesome website. Encourage you to do it. Send me your picks, by the way, for this upcoming week. But hopefully you all enjoyed today's video. If you do, hit that like button. It would help me out a ton. And if you're new to the channel, like what you see, want to see more, hit that big red subscribe button. We're up and over 300 subs. Thank you all for getting us there. Want to keep growing the channel as the year goes on. And last but not least, comment your picks for week 5 down in the comments section. You're not going to agree with everything I say. Be respectful. Let's talk about it. Maybe where we have a difference. Let's talk about why you think one team will win and why I think otherwise. And tell me your favorite team. Do you think they come away with a W this week? I'm not feeling so good about my favorite team, but we'll talk about that now. Let's start with Thursday Night Football. Man, this one's a doozy. I'm going to go Rams. This one was so tough because, one, Seattle at home is just obviously tough to beat there. Russell Wilson's something like 8-1 on Thursday Night Football. Pete Carroll's 14-2 in primetime. I mean, that's ridiculous. So Seattle has a knack for getting it done in primetime games and in those big stages. But that said, I feel like this team is just not the same. Obviously, it's just not the same as what we used to see when Seattle was, Super Bowl contender or front runner year in and year out. And I just think the Rams have the ability to pick on that cornerback group of Seattle to just an unfair level, right? And then additionally, Aaron Donald has historically had monstrous games for Seattle, and he is the reason I'm picking the Rams here. There's a few players in the league that can just take a game over, and it's pretty rare across the NFL history, right? Like Aaron Donald is probably the first guy since J.J. Watt in my lifetime, a decade or so ago, that just when he is in the zone, he takes a game over, and there's just about nothing you can do, which is crazy considering he's a D-tackle, D-end. A lot of times we talk about that with quarterbacks, right? Like when Mahomes is on fire, there's just nothing you can do to stop the Chiefs. Aaron Donald has that type of effect, and I think he might do that tonight against Seattle. So that's why I'm taking the Rams, despite them being on the road. Falcons Jets, man, I don't know. This is just kind of a tough one because if the Titans have A.J. Brown or Julio Jones, let alone both of them, I don't think the Jets beat them last week. I think one of those two is worth that extra point that prevents that game from going to overtime, and both of them are certainly worth more than 3 points. That was the differential once they got to overtime. But Atlanta right now, the worst defense in football. And Corey Davis is looking really good. Elijah Moore, full participant in practice yesterday. Zach Wilson finally didn't look, bewildered out there last week. And considering he's playing another not-so-good defense, I'm hoping that he feels comfortable again this week. So I'm going to go ahead and take the road upset here with the Jets. But neither team really all that good, so it is kind of tough to predict. Packers and Bengals, actually, I should be doing this against the spread, and I'll talk about the spread real quick. I would take the Rams. I'd pick the points with the Jets, and I'd definitely lay the points here with Green Bay. Jair Alexander might be out for the season, which is definitely a big concern and almost made me sway it back to Cincinnati, but I also think that's part of the reason it went from Green Bay minus 3.5 to just -3, and that number might continue to go down. It feels like the market is starting to pick up on Cincy, especially since Jair Alexander's injury. But that said, Aaron Rodgers versus Joe Burrow, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers. Even if T. Higgins is out there, it's a really good wide receiver core and against a questionable cornerback group for Green Bay. But who in Cincy's defense is checking Devontae Adams? I'll wait a while for that answer. And likewise, as good as Logan Wilson and that defense has looked for Cincy, they've been scrappy. Looking good against a washed Big Ben and a rookie and Trevor Lawrence is different than doing it against Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, but also Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones could have another big week this week. So despite them being on the road, I'm taking Green Bay, and I actually have already put money on this game. 3 points I don't think is enough. I think the Packers win by at least more than that. Vikings and Lions. This is one where I take the Vikings probably, but I take the Lions to cover the spread. It's kind of, this is again a weird team to bet on because like week 1 against San Francisco, that backdoor cover, it could be something like that. And I don't think necessarily that the Lions are all that great or anything, but they just find ways to just keep it close enough. But I think this is a good get back on track week for Minnesota. Get that offense primed again. I really don't know what happened last week other than the fact that I think Cleveland has a really good defense. But I think you'll see big plays from Dalvin Cook, some play action setups for, Jefferson, Thielen, all alike. Kirk Cousins gets back to slinging it and playing like he was the first couple weeks of the year. So I think this is a get-right game for Minnesota. But if we're talking spread, I would probably lean towards Detroit there. Broncos, Steelers, I'll take the Broncos on the road. I just cannot bet or continue to pick Pittsburgh, given how mediocre that offense is. Like, the mediocre might be nice. Like, Big Ben's missing throws to Juju up the seam. One easily is a touchdown. The other one's at least a big play. And who knows, Eric Stokes might not catch up to Juju. They're throwing swing routes on 4th and 4, 4th and 10, back-to-back weeks. Like, I don't know what to make of Big Ben. I don't know what to fully think of the Matt Cannon offense. I don't know if it's fully his fault or if it's just Ben's changing things in the line or he doesn't feel comfortable pushing the ball down the field. He's not comfortable in the pocket. Whatever the case may be, that offense is not good. And additionally, the run blocking is not all that good either. So the only way we really get Najee Harris involved is through those quick, short passes and try to get him in space. Defenses are going to start stacking the box. Additionally, Denver has a fantastic defense. Same can be said about Pittsburgh, no doubt. But Teddy Bridgewater was watching film, was lifting, didn't practice on Wednesday, so we'll see as the week goes on. But even if it's Drew Lock, I think I'd take Denver. If you're giving me a point as well, I'd do that on top of it. Bucks Dolphins, I'll take the Bucks to win. I'd probably take Miami to cover. I know it's not Tua, but Tampa is a pass-heavy offense, and I think it's one that might have some problems, right? Like, even I think these two teams practice against one another, and we saw, Xavier Howard and Byron Jones making some big plays in the offseason, if my memory serves. But that's the strength of this defense, and it matched up a little bit better with Tampa compared to where it did last week against Indianapolis, a run-first team. So I'll take Tampa Bay to win because they're just better team, and Tom Brady over Jacoby Brissett any day of the week. But 10 points is a lot, and if we're talking spread, I'd probably go Dolphins there. I'll take the Saints to both cover and to win here. Also, by the way, I'll have the record somewhere up on the screen. It hasn't showed already. Yeah, 10-6 last week, 37-27 overall in the year. Not too bad. For the Saints, both these teams are just roller coasters, man. It depends on what Taylor Heineke and what Jameis Winston we see in this one, but Washington's defense has been mightily disappointing, and because of that, I'm just not going to pick them in this one. I feel more confident the Saints defense will put together a lockdown showing against Washington compared to the other way around. So I'll go with the Saints despite them being on the road. I'll also take them to cover the 2-point spread. Panthers Eagles, yeah, I'd take Carolina to win. 3.5 is tough. Maybe Philadelphia, especially if you're giving me the field goal, that wiggle room right there. I think Philly showed a lot of fight last week against Kansas City. It's also a little concerning because the Chiefs' defense is a little rough, right? Like, if Jalen Hurts can go, not necessarily throw for throw, but if he can keep up with Patrick Mahomes on offense the way they played last week, that's a bit of a wee-woo if I ever saw one, if you're a Kansas City fan. But that said, I think Sam Darnold and the Panthers get back in the winning column this week. Defense only got better with the trade for Stephon Gilmore. Granted, he's not going to play this week. Looks like he'll be playing week 7 or so, but another week in the system for C.J. Henderson. And additionally, Carolina's defensive coordinator, Phil Snow, has done a tremendous job. Phil Snow with Carolina and then Vance Joseph with Arizona. Those two DCs have done just a tremendous job, and they have put those units way further ahead than I thought they would be. So right now, in my mind, if we're talking coordinators of the year, it'd probably be Vance Joseph for Arizona because that defense is exponentially better than it should be, really, looking at it on paper. But Phil Snow's right there. He's done a tremendous job, especially changing up his blitz looks, creating pressure, and that might cause some problems for Jalen Hurts. Given that point, though, Hurts is mobile. He can create, he can extend plays, get outside the pocket, move the pocket, all those sorts of things. So we'll see. I'll definitely take Carolina to win. 3.5 points, it's a tough spread. Maybe I'll take the Eagles there, plus getting the field goal to try to cover. Titans and Jags. I'll take the Titans, and part of it's just because the Jags feel like they're in disarray, right? Like this whole Urban Meyer situation going on. They finally put together a competent showing. They blow a lead, though, against Cincinnati last Thursday. They do have 10 days of rest, which is obviously an advantage that Tennessee does not have, but this team feels like they're all over the place, and I just don't know if I can trust Urban Meyer to put together a good game plan and keep his head clear despite everything that's going on. Additionally, if the Titans have one of those two wide receivers, again, they win last week, and we're talking about a wider spread than 4 points. Julio didn't practice, but A.J. Brown was limited, so it looks like one of the two of them for sure will be back, maybe both. I'm not entirely sure about Julio. Too much to speculate on as of right now, but I'll take the Titans despite them being on the road. Patriots and Texans, I'll go Pats despite them being on the road as well. 8.5 points, I'd probably go New England there as well, just because Davis Mills looks pretty rough. Rookie quarterback against Bill Belichick. We saw what happened with Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's a whole lot better than Davis Mills, at least as it appears right now. Additionally, Ross Blacklock has been one of the brighter spots early on this year for Houston, and this team overall has been able to generate some pass rush. Lovie Smith's done a good job there coaching up that unit. but the Patriots' offensive line is a really solid one. So I think the biggest strength maybe that Houston has will be mitigated by one of the biggest strengths that New England has. And it's a strength-on-strength matchup, but New England's just better in that department. So give me the Patriots to win the game and to cover the 8.5. Raiders, Bears, probably take the Raiders for both here. Just so you know my record, I'm just talking predictions here. I'm not totally counting for the spread, but for those who are interested, I talk about it in these videos. Raiders, 1, they're at home. 2, you're trying to avenge the loss, right? So all those things mounting up, I think the Raiders are going to put on a big showing. Additionally, the Bears' defense has been a little up and down. Seen some blown coverages, though. I think Jalen Johnson is a tremendous player. But this will serve as a good test overall for Justin Fields, right? The Raiders' defense, we talked about, is much improved. They've gotten some more pass rush, but, talking about that. Another favorable matchup for Max Crosby, who's the number 1, PFF edge rusher right now, and he's just had great matchup after great matchup, and he gets another one here. Chicago definitely not a team with a good offensive line, so he may continue to be on a tear, and we'll see. I mean, the biggest question mark here is this Bill Lazor offense. Was it just last week that it looked really good, or is it overall a schematic game plan difference compared to what Matt Nagy wanted to run when he was calling plays? We will find out. That is a huge question mark, and because of that uncertainty, I will bank on what I know. John Gruden is a good play caller. Derek Carr is a good quarterback. Darren Waller's a big play waiting to happen. Henry Ruggs, Brian Edwards, all that. The defense does look better. I will take the Raiders at home. Chargers and Browns. I'll take the Chargers because they're at home, but spread-wise, I would probably take Cleveland if you're going to give me the 2 points. This and then Bills-Chiefs. Toughest games to call, but they're the 2 games I'm most looking forward to watching, other than Pittsburgh, I guess. But the Chargers, I give them the edge because they're at home, and every game has presented a different challenge for Justin Herbert, and he's just passed all the tests. And they found ways to make Mike Williams have a resurgence, or not necessarily a resurgence, but a career year for sure. Austin Eckler looked really good last week. The defense continues to exceed my expectation. I thought it was going to take some time for that unit to come together and gel. It's happened pretty much right away, so a ton of credit to Brandon Staley and that unit overall. Cleveland is coming off a really bad week, and I'm not going to deny that. And that's part of the reason they're given 2 points here. If they, let's say, blow out Minnesota, this is probably a straight up pick 'em, maybe even. Cleveland favored by a point or 2. That said, I am a little worried about what I saw last week, and I don't think Baker Mayfield would be that bad, but will he be good enough to beat Justin Herbert in this game? And as of right now, it's probably close, but I'll take the Chargers to win. But if we're talking spread, I'd go Cleveland just because you're giving me the 2 points. But I'll take the Chargers to win this one. But this is one of the games I'm most looking forward to watch this week, and love to have your thoughts in the comment section as well. I'll take Dallas to beat the Giants. Maybe the Giants to backdoor cover if we're talking spread, though. But I think the secondary for New York, has been a little underwhelming compared to what I thought it was going to be. Maybe I hyped them up a little bit too much this offseason, but the passing attack for Dallas continues to be fantastic. They're running the ball really well. I mean, a ton of credit to Ezekiel Elliott, the offensive line. Nobody's talking about Tony Pollard anymore, right? Like, Tony Pollard's still a good football player. I'm not saying they shouldn't get him the football, but Zeke Elliott's running crazy the last couple of weeks. He's been super efficient, and when you're gashing 7 yards a carry, you can afford to take a couple plays away from the passing attack and feed Zeke. Additionally, the defense continues to look really good. Now, I don't know if Trevon Diggs is going to continue to pick off the pass every week we play. They're still down to Marcus Lawrence, but overall, liked what I've seen. And it's pretty crazy. This defense has been much better than expected, and it's pretty much been without Jalen Johnson, to where he was cut this week, and it's not that much to talk about, really, because Keanu Neal, Micah Parsons, those have been the main coverage linebackers. Parsons also been used, obviously, as an edge rusher pretty heavily, so LVE has been the next guy up. So Jalen Smith was just kind of the odd man out. So pretty wild there, but a good signing there for Green Bay for sure. Didn't talk about that earlier, but if Jalen Smith does play this week and he suits up, that's a big plus for the Packers, no doubt about it. This is another tough game to pick. I'll take Arizona to win. I think if we're talking spread, I'd go San Francisco. I really wanted to pick San Francisco to win this game, but I'm going to go with Arizona just because I do worry about the secondary for San Francisco. It is a pretty poor unit. Additionally, first start or maybe for Trey Lance, I don't know. They're saying Jimmy Garoppolo has a chance. Just some tightness and a swollen calf for him. Kyle Shanahan didn't rule it out, so it almost sounds like if Garoppolo can at all suit up, Kyle Shanahan feels more comfortable with that, which pretty wild. If it was Lance, I'd feel more comfortable going with San Francisco because it's just something nobody has seen yet, right? Like if you don't have film, NFL film, it is tough to try to create a proper game plan on top of that. Lance's rushing ability on top of playmakers, a great offense that has so much motion, it can just create so many big plays waiting to be had. But Arizona has done a fantastic job. Like AJ Green's been their leading receiver in 2 separate games. We're still waiting for DeAndre Hopkins to go crazy, but this team's 4-0. Like, that's unbelievable. They have a really nice backfield with Chase Edmonds, James Conner, nice compliments to one another. Some weeks, Max Williams looks like a really nice piece, but the point of that is they're not relying on any one player to carry the load. Really, Kyler Murray is the guy doing it, but when it comes to targets, they're not needing one guy to just take over a game, not like Green Bay with Devontae Adams or anything like that. They've been doing it a lot of different ways, and again, Vance Joseph has done a tremendous job with this defense. This might be a week where we see that secondary picked on a little bit more just because Kyle Shanahan knows how to draw it up. Deebo Samuel's had a fantastic year. We'll see about Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, mismatch nightmare, of course. But that said, Arizona's also at home. I'll take the Cardinals to win. Spread, I'd probably go San Francisco, especially if it's Trey Lance. I feel like Trey Lance creates some different game plan problems just because there's no NFL film on him. But if it's Jimmy Garoppolo, especially playing less than 100%, maybe then I'd lean back towards Arizona. I'm going to go upset pick here. I had to go with a road, upset victor in one of these 2 matchups. And right now I'm thinking maybe the Bills are more likely to do it than San Francisco, especially considering Niners feel like Kyle Shanahan wants Jimmy Garoppolo out there. That said, this Bills offense has been clicking. Now I know they have been beating up on not good teams, right? Like, that said, 35-0 against Miami is pretty impressive. But they did that largely through the ground. They stomped Washington football team and then, completely blanked the Texans. Now, none of those teams look like they're going to be in the playoff mix. But that said, they took care of business against teams they were better than, and that's impressive. And Josh Allen has gotten better week by week, but again, I still don't think he's at the same level that he was playing at last year, which if that curve continues, he might hit that this week. And another point you have to consider with, if that offense continues to get better for Buffalo, this defense for Kansas City is a concern, right? We all knew it wasn't going to be necessarily great or even, good per se, but Kansas City just needs them to be average and create a lot of turnovers. They have struggled to do that. They've struggled to stop the run. They've had a hard time creating pressure. There's not a whole lot that has been done well so far for Kansas City. I will say Tyrann Mathieu seems to always ball out in these primetime games, right? Think Sunday Night Football against Baltimore. 2 picks for the Honey Badger. I could see him having a huge impact in this one and being the difference because it's a shootout and he creates 2 turnovers that gives Patrick Mahomes the ball 2 more times, takes away from Josh Allen. But the Bills' defense is playing better on the other side. Now it's obviously, defense can be matchup-based for sure, right? And when you're facing Jacoby Brissett for the most part against Miami and Taylor Heineke in the worst week he's had all year, and then Davis Mills throwing 4 picks, yeah, that defense is going to look pretty good. But some of that is credit to Buffalo. That defense was in the right positions, and they had a proper game plan, and they made those quarterbacks look bad. Ton of credit. I can't take that away from them, but Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Clyde Edwards-Helaire starting to look really good, of course, right after I trade him in fantasy. Go figure. They're all starting to look really good, especially CEH. It looks like they're starting to be able to run the football, which, maybe they can control the clock a little bit, keep it away from Josh Allen. That's interesting, but I think this is going to be the moment, kind of like the Rams-Bucks earlier this year, where the team that's not necessarily the true, better, more likely Super Bowl contender comes away with the win. So I'm likening the Bills to the Rams. But the team that when we get to January, if these 2 teams meet, I'm taking the other one. So I'm going to take the Bills here, just like I took the Rams. The Rams were at home in that Week 3 game, though. But once we get to the postseason, if these 2 teams meet again, I'll take Tampa over LA, and I'll take Kansas City over Buffalo. All from where I sit right now, things could obviously change, especially if there's a big injury or something like that. But I don't know. I'm just feeling the road upset here, and this could then lead to, the Bills being, the talk of the NFL and definitely of the AFC. Last one, then we'll get out of here. I'll take the Ravens over the Colts. 6.5 points, kind of tough. I think the Colts will be able to cover that, but to pick the winner, I'll go with Baltimore. I really liked what I've seen from them. Really creative defense, and they're creating turnovers. Done a pretty good job in the pressure department, in my opinion. But right now, that offense looks really, really solid. They're running the ball like no other. Still getting big plays from Hollywood Brown, which goes a long way. And I just think they're an overall better team than the Colts. Sorry, Colts fans, I'm not slandering you, but I think the Ravens are just a really, really solid team. And they're at home. Obviously, that makes things that much tougher. But that's going to do it for my Week 5 of the NFL season picks. Tell me what you think down in the comment section. Which game do I have right? What games do you think I'm absolutely wrong on? Love to have that discussion with you. Let's keep it respectful, but let's talk about why you think one team will win, why I think the other has the more likely shot. Hopefully you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, hit that like button. It would help you out a ton. And if you're new to the channel and want more sports content like this, just hit that big red subscribe button. That's going to do it for today's video. Hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. And until next time, my name is Tej, and I'm signing off.